regular meeting of the Village of Armada Planning Commission to order at 7 o'clock. All rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Kevin, roll call, please.
Lemieux.
Here.
Shaw. Here. Katajizik. Here. Patterson.
I'm here.
And I'm here.
Okay. All present. That's so nice to be able to write all present now. Yes, we're all going to be pleasant too. Let's order at 7. Okay, anybody got anything on the agenda? Otherwise, we're looking for that motion.
Well, motion to approve the Village of Armada Planning Commission regular meeting, 16th, June 16th. Right.
Okay, second.
Agenda.
Oh, the agenda. I'm sorry.
That's okay, as presented. Okay, so we have a motion out there,
Support.
and all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. This is, yeah. Okay, meeting minutes from the 19th. Everybody's looked those over. Any questions, comments, suggestions? Otherwise?
Need a motion too, right? I'll make the motion that we approve the meeting minutes for May 19th, 2025 as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And those. Okay, before we begin discussion, is there any public comment? Okay, that's usually how that goes. So, we are here tonight to give Mr. Fritz a chance to let us know what's going on here. We do not have a planner this evening, so we're basically looking for information tonight and waiting for the feedback back from him. These are the same houses that you dropped off to us before, right?
Yeah, right, that was just in case there's any questions before tonight.
Yeah, no, but that's,
You know,
okay.
that we can maybe
Okay,
talk about it then.
okay. So, what are we looking here?
Well, basically, obviously affordable housing is something that is almost non-existent anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that area would be perfect for it because they got, detention pond on one side, would be done on the other. I mean, there's only 6 houses or 7 houses that it butts up to even. But basically, Armada doesn't really have any area that you could build affordable housing.
Right.
And basically, affordable housing, definition of that, I have no idea, but I know it's gotta be less than $300,000 because everything in Romeo is running. It's unbelievable anyway, okay?
Yeah.
And so, because of the density, the way they're laid out, and the looks of them, they got good street appeal, they got a good floor plan, okay, and they got a basement. So,
But now
anyway,
these are the ones with no garages.
yeah, they got no garages,
Yeah,
okay?
that's-
To get affordable housing, garages go.
Right, right.
But each unit does have 3 parking spots in front. Okay, it's 30 feet, each parking spot's 10. Between buildings at 30 feet, there's 3 more. Anyway, you got basically a little under 4 units, 4 parking spots per unit, okay?
Okay.
In front of the unit, correct? That'd be on the road in front of the unit.
Yeah, there's other besides, right in front of the buildings, there's 3 in front of every unit, because they're all ranches. So there's 2.5 units right there, and they're 2 bedrooms. So that takes care of that. But throughout the project, there's another, I never did count them up, I think there's another 20 or 30, something like that, or 40, throughout, park along one road is 32 feet wide.
I did see that.
You can park, and that was designed that way so you can park on it, that's usually what they are. In fact, usually 28 foot, probably in the villages, you can't park on one side.
Well, and we discussed that for the emergency vehicles as well.
Yeah, so.
Do we know what the radius is on your curves?
Going around the corners, I don't know what those are. I mean, we weren't,
Okay.
this is pretty much to find, is this something that you want to have?
Right.
And I think that, so what we did is, like I say, there's not really many attached buildings in town, really. There's no project like this, or in fact, even a couple of the other projects I bought in, there's really no place that you could put them anyway.
Right.
But this would work out from the standpoint that doing a little investigating about apartments or any type of housing, I think I went and looked on a zoning map around town, and the only ones I know of is Oakwood or something like that. They got an 8-unit building, an 8-unit building there, so there's 8 units. And then Windmill Point has 48 units.
Right.
And outside of that,
38, yeah. 38.
48, yeah.
No,
38.
38.
Oh,
He forgot his hearing aids.
That's okay. That's fine.
Oh, yeah, if
What is
if
this?
I sound kind of weird, it's because I forgot my dad was doing it. So, but anyway.
No, that's.
Oh, yeah, so, but anyway, so we feel this would be a nice location for that. It's kind of isolated, it's a infill type of project, okay? I think the village, well, obviously the village needs it because we're gonna buy something here for under 3 years. We're hoping for, initially we were hoping for the mid to uppers. Now it looks like it'll be closer to the uppers, like we're looking at. Depends on prices, and even if you said, hey, let's go, and tonight was the night. By the time I got the engineering done, things along those lines, it'd be next spring till I could go anyway, okay? But we're hoping to be in the 270 range for the 2-bedroom units. If you want that 3rd bedroom, that goes upstairs, that would probably add another 35 grand, 35, 40. We haven't done a hard price on that yet. But anyway, the start off would be somewhere in the 270 range. That's what we're probably going to end up with, which is pretty good for a unit that size. Basement, parking, so you don't have to walk. I've stayed in a couple of these places, okay? And I had one, you had to carry groceries over 200 feet to get to your unit. So this is a pretty, in other words, it's just an easy unit to do. That, in fact, Oakwood I was looking up, that was built in 68, and the other one was built in 72. So you haven't had a lot of activity with apartment buildings or attached buildings in this village.
No.
So anyway, that's pretty much self-explanatory a little. I think what got me really going on this is to find a good-looking unit. Some good-looking building that doesn't look like a barracks.
Now, you're saying there's parking in front of each unit, so these are not, this is not what they would look like. You're gonna have parking in front of?
Yeah. I mean, that's just a streetscape. Okay, didn't show the parking, but if you look at the plan, you'll see where there's 30 feet.
So, but that's what I'm saying, this is what you're showing here as the 30 feet, this
Right,
grassy lawned area
Yeah,
that won't actually be there.
Yeah, the long though. Oh, yeah, in other words, basically, if you take a look at this would be, the parking would be, say where the black is, and this is the curb.
Oh, this is, okay, so this is not the straight,
I looked at it
That's
today.
Yeah,
kind of
this-
parking.
this-
Parking
Okay.
shows up, pretty much shows up
grass.
here as well.
Yeah.
Let's see,
In
Right
front
here,
of
here's
each
your
unit
sidewalk.
would
Yeah.
have parking.
okay?
This here.
Yeah, this is your
Yeah.
wall,
These would
so
be the
you
only
got
lines
25 feet or
only have
26
it out here,
feet
yeah, it's
of
still there.
lawn, which
Yeah,
is,
every
that's your
unit,
setback
every
anyway.
Yes.
section.
Okay.
Has a,
And
has a
here,
road, and then there's grass. Plus we
this
gave a
this
big
area
road
here,
to
then you
the
got, for this back side
trail
of these
here, which
houses,
is
you got
good for
40
everybody
feet
in
here,
the community.
and you
Yeah.
got 30 feet here, and this is, of course, the trail.
Right.
So when you
So
look,
now this is your proposed parking in this
that
section?
area, and this is your 28-foot street,
Okay.
okay? So these are 20-foot, you got 20-foot deep parking areas, okay? Plus, that, you got a curb here, so if the wheels butt the curb, you got, there's another 18 inches or so. So that's what you have here. So this, I didn't draw all these lines down, but
Right.
you can see you got 30 feet each one. So that
Right.
means there will be 30, then you got 30 feet here, then you got some on each end. Then there's parking along this wider street, where is it, what?
This one here.
This one here. So,
So, is there a area like this over here?
they're all the same.
Yep.
No, this
This
is,
is this, and this.
right,
These
that's
are
what-
your parking spots. And
That's, it's a street.
So it'll be what they've got, so this will be part of the.
Yeah, so I got,
And
so
then
we
it's
got
got the
parking.
sidewalk here, this is the narrower street, this is the wider street.
Yeah, I did that with the idea that you could probably park cars and still have two-way, but worst that could happen, you gotta put, so you got parking there. This year I put, when I say proposed park, I want to leave an area. I would not include it in my sales price necessarily. What I would do is in the condo docks, I'd probably put a deal where if 60 of a super majority, you know, say we got 48 units, whatever, and 30 of those wanted a clubhouse, let them vote on it, because obviously that's more money.
Right.
So do they want that? And if they do, and it's, you know, it's going up your fee, you know, $50 a month or something like that, do you want it? So, but it's
So you're,
allocated.
you're giving them the opportunity to take the park out.
Well, no.
To not, you have a park, have something
They're not a
else.
park. I mean, it can be a park, but it's big enough that if they wanted to, I'm not gonna say it has to be a park, they might wanna put some, you know, some park. Well, you see along state
Yeah,
parks.
property belongs to association. let
Yeah,
them do
but the
what they want.
association would have whatever they wanna do.
Right.
Okay.
So that way there you can keep the price, and, because if you wanna pay for it, go for it. If you don't,
Right.
but I don't wanna jam it down.
So, and if I counted these correctly, we're looking at 55 houses.
No,
48.
13, 13, and 12 is 48,
that is 48.
58.
Just, no. Let's
Yeah,
see,
5
You got
and
5 and 5 in
there's
these.
10,
23 plus 12
let's see,
is
that's
35,
35,
and then plus 15 more. Is-
48.
48.
48,
And you counted those in.
Yep,
Yeah.
10
So it's
first.
48.
48, yeah.
13, 13, 12.
26.
So I added those and then
So,
added
yeah.
10.
So it's not, they're not jammed in there. There's plenty of space. Look, one thing I really was after and I got was, this is 40 feet back from the street. I see landscaping here, so when you come down here, you don't, you know, for 40 feet, you can put some nice stuff. So all these are 40 feet setbacks.
Okay.
So that way there I can, and I would give you a landscape plan. Don't mean all that's
Right,
coming. The big-
right.
The big thing is just something to say, you know what, I like the idea, blah, 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 because I still got engineering I gotta do. The biggest thing I've got, I think I'm okay, if everything is according to plan, I'm okay. That's tying into this manhole here for the sewer. Okay, this water line's 6 feet deep, this is 8 feet deep. If it is 6 feet, I'm okay. If it's deeper than that, it can't be much deeper because I got a bore underneath it to get to here.
Okay.
So if I can't do that, then I gotta tap into that force main that's over here.
Okay.
And then I'd have to take part of this property and put thing. And the reason I changed the name of the condo outfit is, I got that big oak tree. That thing looks like it's about half dead, but you gotta see it.
Oh,
This is
that's-
live.
Oh, yeah.
Big
It's
old-
real, they know where to cut that
Four-foot
sucker.
wall.
Right.
Just across.
It's a couple hundred years old.
So
It's at least
this,
100 years old.
this is all the proposed park,
Crazy.
all the way here to here too,
Yeah, this.
is that the measurement?
Yeah, it's just, yeah, that's a measurement,
125.
125
This way.
by 122.
And this is the only dumpster location for all?
Well, not
48
necessarily, I just put it there so I wouldn't forget. I gotta, there might be a rule of thumb, you know, type of thing, maybe
Yeah,
I
that I
gotta put one
didn't,
down here somewhere.
right, I didn't look at that, so.
Yeah, so it's, like I say, it's just that I gotta have one.
Oh, right.
And the other thing I don't, or I do have, that he put on here, I gotta get with the post office, you know, where,
oh, you want to put your.
how they wanna handle that, okay?
Yeah.
There's things
I
I
like where
gotta
they
do.
are. I thought that was a good idea, central location, right
Yeah,
where
you
they
got,
are.
well, you got one here, you got one here.
Right.
You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm all for it, but the post office may not want
Yeah,
that.
they would probably, well, CBUs, they usually
So
put
now-
one cluster.
Coming
Yeah, they-
in, coming into Franklin, you can obviously do your loop.
Yeah, you got your big loop, like I say, whatever the post office wants, that's what it's gotta be.
Right. Is this giving access to the trail, or you're just dead end of the
That's
street?
dead end, well, it's dead end, the trail's here.
Right,
Now, the question would be, what does the village, you know, village, obviously I gotta put something here, you know, post or some type of thing.
okay.
I mean, I just can't have people wandering out into here arbitrarily.
Right.
So I think that'd be something with the village and I would have to talk about. What do you guys want? I mean, they could put a gate there. Everybody that's in here has a key to the gate.
Mhm.
You know, that type of thing.
Okay.
That's probably how I think you want to handle it probably. Because I see that at big place where they got big pools and stuff and people that are in a hotel or motel or whatever it is and they got a key to get in.
Right.
That type of thing, because you don't want people just. That was one thing I had a little concern with, but I think it's probably not a bad idea. I mean, I could block this off big time, but like I say, we could do something if you want. Because I don't know if the trail, we're doing a lot of research on this. I'm not all that sure that the trail was a plus. I always thought it would be, but it's a plus to the people who live in town, but it might not be a plus for these people. But you know what, you ever go out there, this thing is so solid, which there is a ditch that runs all the way
Right.
through here.
You're there, right?
And this is wooded, I mean, pretty
Right.
densely
Definitely.
wooded.
Yes, yes.
And I don't have this, I couldn't touch it even if I wanted to, it's just on railroad property or,
Mhm.
okay. So it's, that's a pretty nice buffer,
This is really your only concern, is the access
yeah,
here to this.
and I would leave that up to you guys, I mean, hey, for me, the reason I would say a gate was, if we do have a big snowfall or whatever, a lot of that snow can be pushed in that ditch. You know, and same with down here. I mean, here's your road, okay, but this is the edge of the berm.
Okay.
So basically, and there's a lot of fall here. And so, but this is high. This is probably I didn't bring my topo, but I'm gonna probably have to do these first, so I can get the dirt out of here to help fill this.
Okay.
So I'll be coming downhill with this, because the sewer, basically, according to topo, and if this is right, at the existing ground, I'd only be about 2 feet, and you want a little more than that. Of course, sewer's not like water, it doesn't never freeze, but this will have to get raised, it looks like about 2 feet.
Okay.
So most of these through here will be stubbed out like you would on a septic. You know, it's not deep enough to go below the footing. So if you did want a bath in the basement, you'd have to put a lip pump. Of course, I got one too, because I'm on a septic.
Okay.
So anyway, that's pretty much, but I seen these up at Traverse City.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and they were, I think there was.
These are the
Yeah, they were.
interior, if anybody has had a chance to look over those as well.
Yeah, these are the floor plans. They're all identical on the outside, okay? That's what's cool. They're all identical on the outside, but if you did want to have a second floor, where is it? Okay, here's the second floor, what am I doing? You just come around here and just go up. No, this is a Cape Cod, and when you think about it.
Right.
Now, these you could take a big saw and saw them in half and put them in a house. You know, I mean, they're self-sustaining and they're attached, obviously, but if this would be a basement, this would still be the basement, but to get upstairs, then I'd put 1 bedroom down and 2 bedrooms up.
Okay.
Okay, so because you got all those working home people now.
Yeah, that's true.
And so if that's the case, because they're not designed for families, obviously. I mean, they're 2-bedroom units, and
Right.
you got the tree, but that's probably because some guy works at home and still
Right,
wants another
put an
bedroom.
office in. Okay.
So, and that could be a flexible type of thing. I can't do it, I gotta know beforehand, because it takes different trusses.
Okay.
Okay, so this building here, this 5-plex, these are the 2 that will go up.
In the upper
That's
section.
there are
right,
5s, and that's
right.
what I can get there. So I'm gonna build, I would start with those and see how that pans out. hopefully it's 3 and 2. Okay, but anyway, that gives you an idea. There's closets, like I say, the basement's it's got a full basement.
So you don't intend to build these ahead of time, you intend to build on order?
Well, no, I gotta build buildings, obviously.
Okay.
And I'd probably do the top 2 buildings first.
Okay.
The front,
I'm not
closest
that
to
wealthy.
north.
Okay.
But are you doing them as single, and if the client wants a 2-story, you're doing it as a 2-story? Is that how I
No,
understood it?
when I do those, right off, the way that it's gonna be this
They
one right
have to be
here.
laid out this
There'll
way.
be
Right.
1, 2 2-stories,
Okay.
and 3 singles.
Yeah.
And that would be the relationship. What you hope for is that it works out that way, but it might work out that, gee whiz, I should have had all 5 2-stories, or I should have had all 5 ranches.
So when we're looking at this picture, this would be ranches, right? These ones.
So if you look at that, this one would be a
Oh,
ranch.
that's, okay.
This one, the center one, these 2 are the 2-stories.
Okay, so
Right.
these would be gone.
No, they're, all the
No,
windows
all
are
of them
there.
Oh, the windows are still the same?
You can't tell from the outside whether it's a 2 or a 3.
Right.
I'm not going to take the window out, I want them to all look alike.
Nice high ceilings and open.
High ceiling,
Gotcha.
I'm gonna have, now in the ranches, I'll have studio ceilings.
So now,
You know, scissor
what
truss.
did we say, this and this are ranches?
No, these
No,
are the 2
three
stories.
ranches.
These are the
In the
2
middle.
stories.
So that's a 2-story,
That's a 2 and
that's a 2, and the other ones are, or a 2-story, they're the 3-bed.
3
Right.
bedrooms.
But they'll still look the same from the outside, that way there's not a case of, gee whiz, they're not gonna really be able to tell which one's got, because one obviously wants to spend a little more money to have a 3-bedroom.
Right.
Right.
So that way there, everybody looks the same, there's absolutely no problem. The biggest thing, you gotta have a little stone, I'll probably have different colors of doors, and, you know, that's,
I just realized that as we're looking at it, these 2 have the white doors, the other ones
yeah,
have the
then,
red doors.
you know, that might have, that's
Yeah, this is. the
That's sort of a
size.
mechanical thing, but I'm not gonna put something in there where the door has to be painted.
Right.
I just hope somebody don't want a dark purple door. But even if they did, it's, I mean, and then another thing, I've done a lot of projects like this, and usually I like to give people a little bit of leeway, not in landscaping necessarily, there's not enough here for that, but, you know, if they want a couple bushes, or, I mean, just something beyond the basic landscape plan. And then something that doesn't show up here, there will be a patio in the back of each one of these. That's a concrete patio, not a deck. Be a concrete
Okay.
patio, and right now, we're thinking in terms of 10 by 12.
Okay.
If 12 by 12 is, I mean, that can change a little bit, it depends on, that's something you gotta sit down. In fact, everybody here might say, gee whiz, I'd like to have it a little bit bigger, or I don't need it any bigger. Or I'll have a certain size in the base price, and if you wanna do more, you know, if you sign up before, you can make it any size you want.
Right.
But they're gonna be concrete, I don't wanna come around with decks.
So would these be sold as, would it be like a condo association then?
Oh, yeah, if you wanna see the condo decks, that's thicker than your zoning thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're pretty, that I will give you one, but I use the same one I did in Romeo. You know, condo, I might have to modify it because, you know, some legally might be different or something. And I also have a condo association fee, you know. Now, right now, because they're new and that type of thing, but you need a reserve.
Right.
So basically, you go in there with maybe $150, although you think 140 will do it, or 150. You kind of look at the whole, what it's going to be like. But remember, these are private anyway, so you don't snow plowing got to be in. And when these are done, they're landscaped, so you have to have a landscape plan. I'll submit that. The biggest thing is the number of units. You know, in other words, this is it. If you say this is fine, then we can go, because there might be some other hiccup in there beside, but unless this is good, you know, the number of units and the layout, then I can go ahead and start, in other words, just at the price of anything, you realize on a 74-foot lot, I haven't done one in the last few years, but a buddy of mine's doing one. It's $1,000 a foot. You got a 70-foot lot, it's gonna be a $70,000 lot. Then you got tap fees and stuff on top of that.
Right.
Right.
your zoning doesn't, you can't get affordable housing.
No.
It ain't gonna happen. And this would, realistically, this is a nice area to put something like this. You're not gonna get a lot of pushback. You get pushback from, well, probably not, because I know one of the guys, I mean, I haven't had anyone really give me a thing. The only, believe it or not, I only had one person go up there, you cutting that tree down? Because that thing looked like it's half dead. I said, it's only half dead.
Right, there's still half living.
That thing is staying there.
Right.
Now I know what it costs to cut that big old sucker down.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
But it is cool, and it's really green, that's what shocked me. I mean, how
Yeah, it
green it
is.
is. I mean,
It is.
it doesn't, unless you walk up to it. Oh, by the way, if you've been back there, you've seen that cut all around it so you can see it. 'Cause I want to make sure that, so if everyone back there, you can, you'll have that. I don't know if you have any other questions or,
Anybody?
okay.
Okay, the only thing we're doing then is we're waiting for the planners to get back with us on.
Well, the biggest thing with your PUD, well, it usually called PUD, plan unit developments, but this is going to fit probably any zoning you got, period. Okay, even multiple, there might be some problems, okay? Density's not a problem on multiple, by the way. I probably wouldn't be much in the way of that, but there's ways that, I mentioned before, contract zoning type of thing, I come in and here's what I plan on doing. And in the village, there's ways around it. Number one is to say, I'm all for, we can write a letter. The quickest way would be to go to the ZBA. Okay, that can be done, I think, the way your setup is. The next one, under contract zoning, you can modify the what do you call that thing on the wall?
The zoning map?
Yeah, the zoning, any of the zoning map. You can modify that. In other words, just say, I'm gonna take that and you don't need a public hearings or anything. It's something that happens, because I did not know when this thing was rezoned, but it was rezoned legally, I mean, from the standpoint you put it in the newspaper. Well, I don't look at it, I don't even know if I'm right to say newspapers, but anyway.
Anymore.
But it's something I wouldn't have known, okay? I didn't know it until, actually, a year or two ago, that it was rezoned. But that was, in fact, I think I gave, and I didn't bring it with me, but when I bought it, back in 1972, when I bought it, that whole, where the retention pond, that whole area was zone multiple at that time. And then it was future multiple. But what happened, I did not own, when I originally bought the property, I did not have access to Armada, what's that, Ridge Road? The main street.
Yeah.
I came off
Armada
of North
Ridge, yeah.
Avenue, and believe it or not, it was because of the village, I ended up with that because Ray Brown was a street commissioner. I don't know if anybody ever knew Ray Brown. This is before everybody's time. But anyway, Ray Brown was a street commissioner, and he wanted to have some sort of a deal where you could go through that sub to get out there without having to go through town. So he found out who owned those properties, put me in touch, we sat around and I bought them. And at that time I got a thank you from almost everybody in town, at least from the DPW, because it was a house that they called it the Cat Lady. And she had like 100 cats or something. I don't know if you ever heard that story.
That sounds
On
familiar.
Church Street? On,
No,
in
it
the
was,
south?
yeah, it was off of, in other words, her house set off of Main Street.
It was on Main Street.
It was on
There's
Main
more than
Street.
one cat lady, I know.
Do you remember the Cat Lady?
There's no-
Oh,
Then
you're
there
telling
were
how old you are, you know,
dogs,
I mean,
too. Yeah.
okay, but the Cat Lady, but anyhow, so that's how that all got into play.
So from Main Street, or you said North Avenue?
Well, right now, it was gonna come from North Avenue. I mean, the
Instead
whole
of
idea
coming
was to
down
come off of
to
North
Opposite
Avenue,
Ridge to
where the
Main Street.
DPW is,
Right.
come to and wind around the project and get out on Main Street. That was how, when Ray and I talked about, this is at phase one,
Okay.
okay? And when we did phase two, that was still a way to go. And as it turned out, the people that owned the property, in fact, one of them I think might have been a mayor at one time. Hard way to admit that, but anyway, I can't remember.
Yeah,
But, so how the story goes,
yeah, well,
somewhere there was a feud. There was something wasn't right, so that street never happened.
Yeah, okay.
But but the whole sub, well, phase 1 and 2 was based on that kind of a concept. By the time I got to phase 3, that was no longer an option.
okay.
So that was the problem there.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't have any more.
What happens next? Because we had a couple of questions about clearance for fire trucks on that last curve, the inner court curve. That one, and I thought of that thing that you're proposing, like as a park or a clubhouse.
Those are all things that need to go over with the plan.
Yeah, and that's, okay, see, because I've not done this yet, so I've never, that's
No,
why
I
I'm
mean,
asking. And like, is there a possibility that could become, enhance the parking in there? Because those streets to me look very tight. And I
It
don't know.
can be anything.
Yeah,
If you folks said, look, it's not that important. Usually on a project this small and this way, you don't have, sometimes you don't have clubhouse. You do see that when there's 100 units and all that.
right, yeah.
But this is really a relatively small unit in the scheme
Right.
of things. So.
But that's what I'm thinking, is to use that land for something, to give more space for cars.
Well, what I could do, and I thought about it anyway, I could still put the parking there, along there, and then it would already be there. If they ever did build the building,
Yeah.
they'd probably bust up the sidewalk.
Yeah,
But other than that, that's Mickey
Probably.
Mouse stuff. So, in fact, I probably would, because I gotta run the sidewalk anyway, and I could easily run the asphalt, the parking, because it's right there, I mean, it saves everything
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
Call it visitor parking.
That's what
Yeah,
I say, you're talking about visitors.
so I could,
Yeah.
and
That's
I
a
was
long way
thinking
to go.
about doing that
Visiting
anyway.
These
I
guys
just-
over here, or these guys over here.
yeah, but you do that in trailer parks and stuff, they make a parking lot in the middle and you walk.
Yeah, you
Somebody
walk.
picks you up,
That's-
brings you to the house.
that's a long way.
Yeah.
What makes this so
It's no
daggone,
worse than going to the mall and walk into the mall and you
Yes.
sit on the outer edges of the parking lot. They would be fine. I want, my concern, when I look at that, I think the streets are not accommodating enough for.
well, probably in this particular case, because you got 2-bedroom units, you're either gonna have older people.
Yeah,
or-
right,
Or
right.
single people.
Right.
Okay, that just want housing.
Yeah,
Nowadays, the young generation don't seem to want kids like my generation did.
right, right.
You know,
Yeah,
I got a couple grandkids and.
Then nobody,
I'm wondering if
nobody's
they're-
talking to my kids,
or-
yeah.
Yeah, if they're gonna, if I'm gonna be a great granddad.
And
well, I'm a great granddad.
that's it though, and I believe that's what's gonna happen, it's gonna be more like senior housing, because it's
Yeah.
all like you can do a one level
You can
with a
do it one
basement, but you
level,
can, yeah,
and a lot of times they always want their kids maybe to stop by on a weekend and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, but yet they need an office.
yeah, so,
So that's why I wanted to give the option. I'm pretty proud of I designed this thing, okay, because
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to have it look uniform, but yet have an option.
yeah. It reminds me, I'm down on 24 Mile, they have something that's laid out like this, except the back of the thing is right on 24 Mile Road, so there's privacy fences. And but it reminded, I said, wow, that was like,
Even here, you probably wouldn't have, I mean, I would, like I say, it's not a problem, but I could put a private, then it might require, I don't, that'd be up to you folks.
no, that's, yeah, I think
Because,
that's
because
down
I
the line.
got, my backyard is big as the guy's backyard on the other side of me.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna have and I'm not gonna have swing sets. and,
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
bocce ball court, or anyway.
yeah.
I'm
No,
not
there's
gonna
enough
have that.
fences in town, I'm not encouraging fences at all.
So it's a condo association, I mean, you make rules.
Right.
And basically, these are things I turn in. You know, in other words, everybody gets to review it, because there might be something there that you like and that makes sense, and we'll do it, you know. So all that comes, like I say, there's a lot to this.
Sure there is.
But I can't go ahead and then come back and say, gee whiz, there's no way in the world this is gonna happen. I mean, I guess you can always, there's other ways around it. I'd rather not do that.
Okay,
But the planner, I read his review, and it doesn't match, it doesn't match the zoning. I mean, it has to be something. In fact, when I dropped these off, the whole idea was to see if we could figure out a way to do it. We, you folks, could do it without making this big hairy deal out of it, like getting a consent judgment or some daggum thing. And just do it, let's work together on this. And this is how basically, the subdivisions all got started kind of that way, at least phase 2 for sure. I know with an input from the village and,
yeah, we don't have that yet either, so that is, all things are
but what is
looking
what is
forward.
the opinion, I mean, is it something that you're gonna find some way to do it? I mean, a planner could help you do that maybe, maybe your attorney. Who's your attorney for this?
Jeff
Jeff
Bohorski.
Morris.
Jeff?
Bohorski, yes.
Pohorsky.
With
Jeff's been around for quite
Yeah,
a
long
few
time.
years, yeah.
Okay.
He's our,
So there's somebody, another name came up, a Larry somebody?
Larry.
is that township?
No, it could be
I
the
don't know,
township.
you know Larry?
Okay, so it's, make a note of that. But he'd be reading over the documents.
Jeff Pohorsky, just like it sounds. You can do it,
Bah,
B-A-H,
yeah.
Horsky, O-R-S-K-I.
Oh, that's,
It might be a letter or two off, but that's how you pronounce it, so. Because I came on board on this back right after your first presentation. Now, are any of the questions that you wanted answered on that first proposal, or is this totally different from
We
that?
start right from
Totally
here.
different.
It is,
Start
it
right
is,
from
this
here.
is the beginning again, okay.
To be a little honest here, that was a nice project. I knew that would be very successful, because I did one in Romeo, and those people were selling for twice what they bought them for just 10 years ago. And it would have been an easy sell, okay? But there would be no way I could keep that project under $400,000.
I like the idea of these. I think this is a
And
nice
this-
fit
this-
for Armada. It's just getting it to work within our ordinances to
Yeah,
fit our
safe,
master
safe
plan.
parameters, yeah,
So
like,
that's the only thing we're looking at now is to just sit down with the planners and the village council and figure out how and what.
Yeah, I had to go through that some years ago, Romeo, because I was on the planning commission. So it was me, the Mount Planning Commission, the village clerk, the village attorney, and the village planner. It took probably a year and a half. And the reason it took so long is the other one was so old
okay,
that we had
yeah.
to fit stuff in, in other words, the mayor, in fact, mayor says, see if you can't make it smaller. It ended up being at least twice as thick as it was,
Okay.
the one that we
Yeah.
had, okay?
Yeah.
So you don't want to let it go too long.
Yeah.
I think law requires every 10 years or something, huh? To review the master plan.
Master
Something
plan.
like that.
yeah, they're doing it right now.
Doing it
Yeah,
right
we're in
Yeah.
the process.
They're
Right on.
we're
Right on
getting into the.
Well, how long have you been at it?
Just really just started.
Yeah, we're just beginning.
Yeah, we're just beginning. We threw out a survey out there to, we have to get people's opinions and.
Well, maybe you could see where this will fit.
Right.
Okay.
Right. See,
Because
perfect timing.
It'd be nice to get it going. I mean, it might be a mechanical thing for you to do it, but if you said, hey, I do want to go ahead with the engineering and, give me the
Yeah.
landscape plans and, because I do have some hurdles I gotta jump from engineering.
Yeah, right. Well, let's get word back from the planner, and then we'll get with you right away so that we can figure out how we're gonna handle this.
When there's a will, there's a way.
Right, right.
Okay?
Yeah, there's definitely a need in the community for this, and we've been saying that. There's a need for it.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
big time need. In fact, nowadays, there's got a lot of pushback from the government on these communities that do, that just don't want them there or whatever.
That don't
the case is.
accommodate, yeah,
Yeah,
all levels
and
of
you know what?
income.
Right, that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's
Everything
exactly,
Armada's
Yeah,
400.
it's not,
and
yeah.
in Armada, you don't have a lot left.
Right,
So if you wanna
Believe
do
me, I
this,
don't
this is
know.
an opportunity,
Everybody,
right.
a real
Yeah.
opportunity. But so anyway,
And it's gonna create wealth to the community too, 48 more taxpayer
it'll bring, yeah, it'll bring in a
households, you
little
know what I
bit
mean?
of,
Right.
little
Well,
bit.
And we're not really taxing the system because we're plowing our own roads, we're doing a lot of our own stuff outside of the village would have to handle normally.
well, I think another thing that, first of all, I saw something I liked, the elevations.
Yeah.
You know, like, when
Yeah.
I saw those up there, I said, man, this, what a neat idea. Okay, they were bigger than this and they had a few car garages, but I mean, that's a simple idea. But another thing, when we started in business in '57, we catered to pretty much affordable housing. You know, some FHA furnished homes and stuff like that. And my brother and I thought, we're on the end of our trail, you know. You don't turn 84 and I have a whole lot of time left, okay? So we said, you know, it'd be nice to do this one more time. I mean, because I don't need a lot, the land space was written off years ago, and I don't have to get an arm and a leg for the property.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
can make something like this happen personally.
Cost to develop it.
There's a- But the cost of
It's just a little
development.
bit of, yeah.
You know, if I gotta put a lift station in, if for some reason I do, that's gonna be, I've heard people tell me that could be $250,000.
Mm.
But the lowest I heard was about 175 to 2. And the only reason it's that low, because I already got a force main I could tap into.
Right. Okay.
That'd be one other question too. It's not a major question at this time, but I was under the impression that the lift pump had, you know, that has been redone or upgraded or whatever the case is, and it would handle this project. Well, at that time it was 31, now it's 48, but same difference more. Well, no, because those are houses, I mean, they're gonna be 2 or 3 bed. But anyway, that,
It was one of the original meetings we met. with the
Yeah.
DPW guy, and he did say
Right.
that you guys had just upgraded the system and it would be able to handle it.
that wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Because I still got the picture of that time when, does everybody know that I paid for that tower years?
The water tower.
I
The
think-
water tower?
I think I knew that, yeah.
And I got, you know,
So,
I
yeah.
was dealing with a bunch of whippersnappers here. But anyway, I got a picture of that, okay?
Yeah,
This is, I got pictures of the whole project, but this is, let me pass that around.
oh, okay, who's in this picture?
I don't know how many of those people.
Wow, I need, Joe's in there, Joe Deere's in there.
Mm-hmm.
And who else, Trevor? Ben Delicky's in there. Steve Clark is in there.
Yeah.
You in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeff Jaworski's over on the end. Wow, but I need a magnifier.
So,
But I can see, I can recognize.
You can't just zoom in like your
Yeah,
phone
right,
nowadays,
right.
that's the problem. And then get
Yeah,
spoiled.
Yeah,
It's like, oh.
yeah, hit that button and,
Yeah.
yeah. What year was that? The
It
water
had to
tower?
be in 90,
Early, mid?
92,
Yeah,
close to it,
yeah,
because
yeah.
because they needed a water tower,
Mm-hmm.
and there was, don't get me wrong, the village and us has a little bit to do, you know, to get this. But they needed a water tower, and so we made a deal.
I remember that. Was Farber
Farber wasn't
president?
there. In
Yeah.
fact, Farber
Yeah.
then unilaterally just stopped by the office one day, I happened to be there, and he said, what are you doing with this property? And I said, well, I didn't have access at that time to Main Street, but
Yeah.
anyway, so,
Yeah, we were here through all the phases, except for one. One was already here when we moved here.
we used to have Christmas parties, okay, and I got this big box that I'm thinking, what am I doing with it anyway? And so I pulled one out, and it was a Christmas party in the 70s. And I looked at it, and there was some people sitting there, I wonder how many of these people are still alive? I mean, wow.
The
Yeah.
ones I named are still with us, so
That's pretty
30
good.
years ago.
The attorney's been around, it's like normally.
I know, see,
Dang
we had
attorney.
another attorney when we first, there was another guy, I can't remember his name. I only remember Jeff, he's all gray now. He was a kid when he was,
Well, I know that
We were up
phase
against
one
it.
was done by the village engineer, because I didn't know that. This is
Yeah.
my first one. My dad had died in '74 when we
Oh,
bought this
okay,
thing. Just
okay.
before that, okay?
okay,
And I don't know what's going on. So Fitz Bridges
uh-huh,
was a city engineer, and I said, well, you must know what's going on here, so you designed this and one thing or another. So
Okay.
it was your engineer that designed that project,
okay,
phase one.
phase one.
And John Norton was the guy that put the underground
Oh.
stuff in.
John Norton,
You
old John Norton.
Yeah, old John.
He
not
dug up
young.
our yard when we first, when our, was it sewer?
Yeah.
Water, sewer,
Sewer.
yeah.
He,
He's out there, him and his son.
well, he
He
was
was like
known,
100 years old.
Back
And he was
then?
digging that up, and I'm like,
He kept going.
there was, John he was known around the state of Michigan because he could operate a chain, the term, a drain, a
Dredge?
drag line.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Okay, he could dig a basement with a drag line.
yeah,
And
yeah.
he used that drag line to put the sewer and water in. And it took him almost 2 years. I don't know, so John, go ahead and do this and get it done and whatever, get it done. And I think it took him almost 2 years from the day he put the shovel in the ground to the day I had it finalized.
Hmm.
But I was in no hurry. And he worked, he only had himself and maybe one or two other people at
Yeah,
times.
yeah,
Lift
right.
those pipes in the ground and,
Another John Norton. Is he the one who had the heart transplant?
Son.
The son did.
Yeah.
And he was working on that iron.
he caught some sort of a disease overseas. Something
Yeah,
happened
and he
to him.
had to have his heart, yeah.
Well, there was something else before his heart. I mean,
Yeah.
something, I can't remember, something did him in.
I was like, oh,
Okay, so
Careful.
unless we have any other relevant questions or comments, concerns, anything going on with this project? The present day project? Anybody? Okay,
So we're
So we're
gonna
gonna-
send it back to the plan?
we're gonna, yeah, well, they have the plans already, so I will call Brian and talk to him about the things that we discussed tonight, and we'll see where we go from here.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
just keep in touch.
Thank you so much.
We get something going here.
Okay.
Grandpa?
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Okay.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
I bought a house from him. and
Okay,
slowly-
and then it all.
Partly shift.
Oh, yeah, you're another old timer, huh?
No, because I'm
We're starting to disappear, you know that?
I'm the fourth generation of it all.
Ah, there you
What's
go.
left?
But my dad's
Yeah.
brother, Harlow, we
Yeah.
just did pop-ups.
So you were there at the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was on planning, I was planning with,
Okay.
still on council. I was on council over 30 years.
Keep it
We've
up,
seen a few things.
keep it up. keep it
Thanks
up.
for the water tower.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, okay, I think we pretty much covered public comment with that. Steve, unless you got anything else? You're our only public. So, okay, as far as the master plan goes, we really don't have a whole lot to discuss as of yet. Has anybody been on the website, taking a look at that, made a comment, concern, question?
Did the
Okay.
survey, that's all.
Okay. Like I was telling Patty before we started the meeting, after the park, which I think was great, it was so nice to have Brian here in town. It makes him so much more personable than just, the guy that comes here and tells us what we can't do.
Right.
So it was really nice to have him here. But after that, I had also gone to some businesses in town. I left flyers, gave out information, let them know that the website was there and
Glad you
also
mentioned it, 'cause I was
the
going to
reader.
ask about, because they had a big stack, I later thought we should grab them.
Yeah,
But-
I
I
took
did.
a bunch, yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
The one place I did not make, if anybody is in town tomorrow, I did not make it to the post office.
Okay.
It
Did
would
you
be
do the
nice.
library?
You know, I didn't.
I
do
did
the
I
library.
talked to Becky, and I didn't have a flyer with me, did I?
I have some left in my car. I'll
I've
get
got,
them
no,
to
I got a
you.
stack of my.
Okay, now you do, okay,
They
good.
want, giving me two, and I said, no, give me more.
Right, so, okay, so yeah, if somebody could do a couple more businesses
Yeah.
and leave them out there, it'd be great.
Okay,
Because I'd really like to see the comments that
Sure,
were made on those.
sure.
on
When we
those
talk about
emails.
sending out the water bills, something with the water bills.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think it's
that
too
went
late for
forward.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
didn't go forward. So, but, so the word is out there, hopefully we get a
Yeah.
lot of reaction from that, it'll be great. Once Brian's compiled everything, I'm sure we're gonna sit down, have a discussion about what's on there.
okay, yeah,
And so,
just see the process. My only concern, to me, it just, the roads don't look accommodating emergency vehicles. To me, it doesn't quite look,
oh, for Fritz.
yeah, for Fritz.
Yeah, I mean,
that's-
that's,
that's what- that
that's
was-
math that we'll be able to get into, right?
Well,
You don't have to
that's
calculate out
what, my only little note that I would put on there, but. But they, I'm
I
sure
have
they
several
looked at
notes.
that, yeah.
But yeah, that'll be after we get sat down with Brian and get those things figured out. And he still has things that he needs
Mhm.
from Fritz, and he'll get that to
Mhm.
them. He's very good about getting out
Mhm.
all the information for Fritz and
Yeah,
App ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's getting everything coordinated to be here
Mhm.
at the same time, which
Mhm.
obviously it didn't work out very good tonight, but
Well,
he seemed to be all right with it, so we'll just go from here tonight, what we talked about with Brian. But anyway, so master plan, I have nothing else without Brian, and we haven't really begun, so unless anybody's got questions, I don't know, Mike, have you been through a master plan?
No.
Okay, so we're all new on a master plan review. So Brian's input is definitely needed.
Mhm. Sure.
Reports, I don't have anything tonight. If anybody's got any comments, questions, concerns, you wanna take care of it right now? No? Okay, well, we are looking for one more motion.
Motion to adjourn Village of Armada Planning Commission, June 16th, 2025 at 7:51 PM.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Uh,
Motion carries. What was that?